The episode opens through a series of home videos that track Trevor's life as a dad. In the earliest ones, Christmas music plays as Trevor excitedly calls for Jess and little Maddie to come put the star on the tree. Jess checks whether Trevor has dressed Maddie in one of his ridiculous costumes. As Maddie grows older, she refuses to decorate the tree. The final video hits hardest. Jess and adult Maddie celebrate Christmas alone as the couple separated. Maddie looks into the camera and quietly says, "Happy Christmas, Dad." 1 year later, Trevor wakes up alone to a radio warning about an unusually cold Christmas. The house is freezing, the power is out, and Trevor spends the morning wrapped in layers, shuffling around and trying to survive the cold. After struggling with the electrics, he finally gets the heat back on and notices the date, the 21st of December. Trying to hold onto some holiday spirit, Trevor decorates his room with a tiny Christmas tree and carefully prepares 2 presents, one for Maddie and one for Jess. Trevor steps outside to take a call from Jess, blaming bad reception for standing in the freezing cold. Jess explains she's calling with big news. Her new boyfriend Goran has invited her and Maddie to spend Christmas at his villa in Barbados. They're flying out the next day and they won't be visiting Trevor. She adds that Goran has offered to pay for Maddie's Sorbonne tuition because they get along so well. Jess wishes him a Merry Christmas and hangs up, leaving Trevor alone in the cold. Later, Trevor leaves Maddie a heartfelt voicemail. He tells her he hopes she has an amazing time in Barbados and admits just how much he's going to miss her. At St. Aldwyn's School, Trevor rushes around preparing for the nativity play. Diana keeps piling on tasks, move chairs, find missing props, fetch straw for the stable, fix the Christmas star bulb. Trevor scrambles to keep up. Diana proudly announces a big change this year. They're using a real baby for baby Jesus for the first time. The baby is 8 months old and will be dropped off just before the performance. Behind the scenes, the school principal pulls Trevor aside. It's his last day. She thanks him for 7 months of work, apologizes for letting him go, and praises his effort. Trevor admits he has nothing lined up, downs his drink, and watches her rush back to the play. A baby arrives at the back door. Trevor starts calling for his mom, June, but Diana assumes this must be the baby Jesus and tells Trevor to place it in the manger. He carefully lays the baby down as the audience settles in and the nativity begins. During the play, Trevor manages sound effects until his phone rings mid-performance. Trevor answers a call from Cesar Jimenez of Grupo del Sánchez Romero. Cesar urgently needs someone for a platinum-level house-sitting job over Christmas. Trevor initially refuses until Cesar mentions the pay, around £10,000. As he hears that, he drops the star prop and it shatters on stage, stunning the audience. Trevor agrees to an interview in London that evening, with the job starting immediately if he gets it. After the play, Trevor hears the baby crying and realizes no one has come to collect it. He searches the parents' directory, finds June's number, and leaves a voicemail explaining they still have her baby. Then he checks the time, panic sets in, he needs to catch his train. Trevor decides to drop the baby off himself and goes to June's house, only to discover she never brought her baby to school, meaning the baby from the manger belongs to someone else entirely. Trevor calls the school principal, who's already on her way to the airport with her family. She suggests posting in the parents' WhatsApp group and tells Trevor to handle any calls before hanging up. Left completely alone, Trevor contacts the police. They say it will take hours and suggest social services instead. Social services agree to send someone, which briefly calms Trevor. While waiting, Trevor loses sight of the baby and panics, tearing his house apart. The social worker arrives, but the baby is missing. Mortified, Trevor calls the baby Jesus while searching. The social worker eventually leaves, gives Trevor his card, and tells him to call if the baby turns up. Moments later, Trevor finds the baby, only to realize the social worker is now unreachable due to annual leave. With no options left, Trevor calls the police again, battling terrible reception and repeated misunderstandings of his name. The call drops again and again. Finally, Trevor makes a choice. He takes the baby with him, rushes to the train station, and buys tickets to London. Baby in tow, he arrives at an imposing address, the location of his interview. Standing outside the grand house, Trevor takes a breath. He still has the baby, he still has no plan, but he steps forward anyway. The episode ends with Trevor going inside, ready to face whatever disaster comes next. The second episode opens with Trevor arriving at a luxury apartment building, explaining to Petra via intercom that he comes from Housesitters Deluxe. Trevor is buzzed in and he is struggling with the babbling baby he didn't expect to be responsible for. He hides the baby in his rucksack. In the lobby, he meets Petra, the executive concierge for the wealthy Schwarzenbach family. Their regular housekeeper has been called away due to a family emergency, prompting a last-minute search for a replacement. Petra begins a detailed orientation as they ride the elevator to the penthouse, explaining access protocols, security rules, and the importance of discretion. Trevor tries to appear calm even as the baby continues to coo and fart. Once inside the penthouse, Petra gives Trevor a tour of the apartment. Multiple living spaces, bedrooms, guest suites, steam rooms, a yoga studio, and even a panic room he's forbidden to access. She explains that everything is automated, nothing should be touched, and no unauthorized guests are allowed. Trevor nods, but he's distracted by the baby as it starts roaming the house. Petra confirms that Trevor already has the job. It started 15 minutes ago. She hands over the elevator fob, gives him the Wi-Fi password, and explains that no staff will be on site over Christmas. She also makes it clear she is leaving for Thailand and would prefer minimal contact and less necessary. Before leaving, she warns that if the family unexpectedly come home for Christmas, everyone is in serious trouble. Once alone, the baby begins crying, and Trevor comforts him with toys. He also speaks to both the police and later Westminster Social Services. He's told that due to Christmas staffing shortages, the baby won't be collected until the next day, meaning Trevor is on solo baby duty overnight. From there, the episode becomes a chaotic crash course in childcare. Trevor changes the baby's nappies using the family scarves as makeshift diapers, cleans up messes, and feeds him milk. He even takes the baby outside to buy food, weighing him at a convenience store to figure out what kind of baby food to get. He sings lullabies, makes up airplane noises, and does everything he can to keep the baby safe, calm, and comfortable. As night falls, Trevor is exhausted. He tries to sleep only to be woken repeatedly by crying, hunger, and more nappy emergencies. The next day, Trevor realizes he's running low on scarves to make nappies. While juggling the baby, a constantly ringing intercom, and the building's strict security system, he almost misses the delivery guy who shows up with the nappies. At the same time, he accidentally goes down to the lobby without the fob he needs to get back into the penthouse, leaving the baby upstairs alone. The baby starts climbing the stairs, putting himself in real danger if he falls, and episode 2 ends. The third episode opens with Trevor panicking after losing the penthouse fob. He remembers Petra mentioning that the cleaner Elsa has one. With no phone and no way back upstairs, Trevor manages to contact Elsa by borrowing a tenant's phone. She agrees to help, but only after checking with Petra first. Trevor is left waiting as the baby is upstairs on his own. While waiting for Elsa to call back, Trevor sits with the tenant's guests as they're celebrating Christmas together, chatting, eating, and venting their frustrations about the Schwarzenbachs, whom they resent for buying the building and forcing long-term tenants out. Georgia from Social Services calls Trevor, then leaves a voicemail, warning that failure to make contact could involve the police. Elsa finally calls back with good news. Petra approved the handover of the fob. She arrives at the building and Trevor is relieved. After thanking her, he rushes back toward the elevator, only to remember the nappies he left behind. He wedges one of his shoes between the elevator doors to keep them from closing, while he tries to grab the nappies, but the doors still shut anyway. With no other option, Trevor runs out onto the street, chasing after Elsa so he can borrow her fob again. He eventually makes it back upstairs. Back in the apartment, Trevor loses sight of the baby. He searches room to room until he finally hears giggling and finds the baby safe. Trevor leaves another message for Georgia at Social Services, apologizing for missing her earlier and confirming that the baby is still with him. Trevor then receives a phone call from his daughter Maddie. Their holiday plans have been disrupted by bad weather, delaying their flight. She admits she wishes she weren't leaving and wanted to spend Christmas with him. Later that night, Trevor discovers a couple inside the penthouse, helping themselves to food. They explain they're homeless after losing their flat and have been secretly living in the building. Instead of calling the police, Trevor sympathizes with them, even offering food and chatting about babies. The couple thank him for his kindness. The next morning, Georgia from social services confirms she will arrive at midday to collect the baby. Relieved, Trevor decides to take the baby for a walk before the pickup. Outside, he fumbles through small talk with other mothers. Back at the building, the homeless couple reappear to thank Trevor again, gifting him a warm baby hat. They explain they have an appointment at the housing office. Trevor offers to babysit their baby. When Georgia finally arrives from social services, Trevor hands over the baby, signs the paperwork, and asks for any future updates. As she leaves, the homeless couple returns, only for Trevor to realize in horror that the baby he gave social services was theirs. He's accidentally handed over the wrong baby. Outside, Georgia becomes distracted by a parking ticket argument. Trevor tries to explain the mix-up and ends up taking the couple's baby back upstairs without telling her. He rushes toward the penthouse, drops the fob, but he realizes he has another one in his pocket. He manages to return the baby to the homeless couple. He tries to rush downstairs to give the other baby to Georgia, but she drives off before he can stop her. Trevor leaves a voicemail begging her to return. As Trevor stands there holding the baby, Petra calls to deliver the final blow. The Schwarzenbachs are coming to London after all for Christmas, and episode 3 ends. Trevor learns that the wealthy Schwarzenbachs are unexpectedly coming home for Christmas. Petra says she has arranged for their housekeeper, Janet, to handle all preparations. Trevor only has to stay in the penthouse until she arrives, then go home with full pay. But as soon as Petra hangs up, Trevor gets a call. Janet finally contacts him and confesses she is not in London, but in Scotland, visiting her mother. She won't be able to reach the penthouse until late at night. Janet quickly sets a new plan in motion. She sends Trevor a long, detailed shopping list using the kitchen printer and asks him to buy everything with the family's credit card. Trevor watches page after page print out as the list grows increasingly outrageous. Trevor heads to the store with the baby, digging through shelves to find luxury items like chocolate with figs and expensive Dom Pérignon. Just as he checks off another bottle, Janet calls again with one more request. The family's absolute must-have food, a rich truffle liver spread. Trevor adds it to the growing mountain of groceries. Back home, Trevor nervously visits Georgia to apologize for the earlier baby mix-up and hands her a box of chocolates. On his way back upstairs, he gets distracted by a neighbor's dog, Archie, brought down by Haley. The dog escapes, creating chaos in the elevators and hallways. As Trevor tries to return Archie, the dog keeps grabbing shoes, growling, and running off with priceless items. In one disastrous moment, Archie eats the fob and swallows the spreadable sausage Trevor bought. Trevor is forced to improvise with a shoe to lure him in, all with the baby crying in the background. Janet calls again. The weather in Scotland has turned worse. Train chaos is widespread. She'll take the overnight sleeper instead, but she needs Trevor to start decorating for Christmas, including getting a tree from the storage unit. Trevor drags up a massive tree, nearly losing control of it. Later on, he begins setting it up, building a nativity scene and hanging ornaments while juggling the baby's naps and Archie's constant interference. He eventually finds the fob inside Archie's poop, gagging as he retrieves it. In the morning, Janet calls again with a disaster. The trains are cancelled. She cannot come. Trevor must prepare the entire family Christmas feast himself. She sends step-by-step cooking instructions. Trevor races around the kitchen with the baby in the pot, chopping, stirring, roasting, following Janet's detailed printed guide. After hours of preparation, the feast is ready, but the guests still haven't arrived. Trevor calls Petra to check in. Petra informs him the family diverted to New York instead and aren't coming home for Christmas. Trevor is left stunned. After all the chaos, everything was for nothing. As Trevor is hosting the police, more neighbors visit. Haley arrives with gifts for Trevor's baby. Then Trevor gets a call from Jess, his ex, stuck in London after a failed Barbados trip. She asks if they can come over for Christmas. Trevor agrees and texts the penthouse address. Soon, Georgia, Jess, Maddie, Lionel, neighbors, and the police all gather inside the beautifully decorated penthouse, eating food Trevor cooked and celebrating together. The police officer proposes a toast to Trevor and to the mysterious baby who brought everyone together. In the middle of the celebration, the guests suddenly ask, "Where is the baby?" Everyone panics, searching under tables and behind curtains. Trevor runs around calling baby Jesus. Finally, Jess finds him peacefully sitting by the nativity scene. The intercom rings, Trevor answers. It's the Schwarzenbach. They decided they could not miss Janet's Christmas feast after all. Trevor stands frozen, realizing the night is about to become even more chaotic, and the series ends.